Today we're going to be talking about how to skate bowls. Hello all you beautiful people, my name is Zach Dowdy. Today we're talking about bowl skating, how to skate bowls. Gonna go over some basic fundamentals that I feel like I've never gone over on my channel. We're gonna talk about how to keep your speeds. We're at Skatepark, Rob Field here in San Diego, California. It's kind of a gloomy day, so let's jump into it. Now, before I get too into the details of how to skate bowls and in specifics, I think finding a right skate park or a bowl near you is gonna be a crucial, helpful step in this process of learning how to skate bowls. Like I said, we're at Skatepark here in San Diego, California. It's really a wide skate park. There's lots of transition, which is really good. You don't have to learn how to skate bowls in a bowl, but that's what we're gonna be getting into. Really what it comes down to is keeping your speed and finding the right walls and knowing how to use the walls properly. So with that said, you want to get some of your fundamentals down in the regular area of the skate park, just knowing how to kind of keep your speed. We're going to get into speed. Basically, if you skate around the park and kind of get familiar, that's the only step that really needs to be done before you start learning how to bowl skate. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is how to keep your speed in the bowl, because I think that is the crucial step of bowl skating, is keeping your speed and keeping that momentum. You can almost skate a bowl without doing any tricks by just doing your line. So that is the first tip I'll say. It's about knowing your line and practicing your line and figuring out what a line is, because in traditional skating, regular sheet skating, a line is when you do multiple tricks and you do them in a row. You put them together, you do kickflip, pop, shove it, something like that, of that nature. 180, half cab, that's a line. But in bowl skating, it's more about the direction that you take. Right hand churn, or sorry, a backside or a front side kick churn, carve, those kind of things. That's what a line is in bowl skating. So it's about how you actually hit the corners, how you hit the walls, and how you end up somewhere. So that's the big difference with bowl skating versus traditional street skating or park skating or anything like that. It is very much about the direction and the angle that you hit the wall. So these corners can give you a lot of speed, but they can also take all your speed away. So that is one thing that is really important. The first thing that you kind of got to think about when you're skating bowls is you want to pre-plan. So you want to think out your line and how you're going to maintain your speed. That is going to be everything, which eventually actually will be an advantage to learning tricks as well. Like for example, I could drop in right here and then just go forward and try to hit whatever wall it sends me to, but that's gonna lose all my speed. It's not gonna be very efficient. It's not gonna be very fun either. You kind of want to drop in knowing where that first wall is. You want to hit it sideways and then continue that motion. One thing that I do a lot when I'm at skate parks is I talk to the locals, especially if I've never been there, and ask them what the line is, how you get to speed to certain things of that nature, because a lot of bowl skating is the speed and your momentum and how you manage that. So it all comes down to your line. Something that like professional skateboarders still talk about to this day is like, it's a fundamental in bowl skating, but it is also something that you will always be working on, is your line and how you get to things. So sometimes you might go backside then front side, or front side then front side, and that could be a trick of itself, is how you actually go about riding the bowl. So I think that is really important when we're talking about fundamentals of bowl skating. I'm gonna try to put together some lines and then we'll talk through how I figured that out. When it comes to finding your line and keeping your speed in the bowl, there's just one old saying, not really an old saying, but it's like a pull term, is finding the scum line. And what that means is basically you go really low and use that momentum from going really low, kind of like pumping the tranny up and then back down. Essentially, like, you're not really going high onto the wall, you're using the low part of the wall and you're drawing it out really long to get a lot of speed. And sometimes that can get you a lot more speed, yield more results than going really high on the tranny, thinking you're gonna get more from the transition and trying to zoom out. Sometimes you lose a lot of speed trying to go up the wall versus like hitting it sideways. So that's the idea with the scum line, is like you want to hit it very, very sideways, very low, and then kind of catapult yourself out of it versus trying to go up and down so much, because when you go up and down you lose a lot of speed, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you need to go up and down just to get the right direction to where it is you want to go. And that's the next thing I wanted to get into. Sorry, I'm so out of breath. Early, I want to get this in before the kiddies show up and take over the bowl. But next thing I really wanted to get into is hips, because hips is a good way to keep your speed. There's really sharp hips and then there's really round hips in this bowl. Like this one back here, you can see is really round. This one is really sharp. The sharp hip is going to be a little bit harder, a little more distracting, kind of like a speed bump, but you can use that. The round hip is more like a pump hump, and that is something you can really use to keep your speed, is going over hip. So instead of launching over the hip, you kind of want to pump it. So like as you approach the hip, you almost suck all your body up and then push out of the hip, kind of like you would a wave, I guess, in a way. Is you're using that momentum to push out of, and when you're going into it, you're kind of absorbing it like a shock, because you don't want it to keep your speed. You want to keep your speed when you're going through it. You don't want it to take your speed, and then you want to push out of it so you get more speed out of the hip. That is something that is really useful. And then next, after you start hitting the hips, is the corners. The corners, as you see, you know, you can go really high on them, try to keep your speed like I was saying, or you can go low and use the wall. So a lot of times that's what I do with corners. I actually try not to go really high in the corners. I try to go low and then go higher on the wall. And I use the corner to get speed. It's kind of like a suction cup. It almost like sucks you up onto the wall, and then getting that speed that sucks you up onto the wall, you can use your legs to pump out of it. So a lot of this that I'm talking about is pumping, getting familiar, getting acclimated with transition essentially, but you can use these little tips to keep speed when you're trying to learn how to skate a bowl. When it comes to keeping speed, a common mistake that I see when people are just learning how to skate bowls, or maybe they're a street skater and they're trying to adapt to the transition style, is that they try to go straight to a wall. Like they'll drop in here, try to do a 50-50 and come back. And that's almost a lot harder than hitting 3 or 4 walls and then trying to do the 50-50. And that is something I highly suggest for anybody that's trying to learn how to skate transition or bowls, is get comfortable with a few walls before you try your trick, because that is going to also get you familiar and get you used to trying to keep speed and getting speed. And again, it's all about the line. So you want to aim out 3 or 4 walls to set you up for the trick that you're trying to do. Now, the idea with hitting a few walls or trying to kind of carve around before you do your trick is not only so you get speed and momentum, but so you get your special meter up. And that's going to sound really weird, but it does help you. Like hitting a few walls and then trying to trick and bowl normally gets you amped up, gets you more excited to go for it and try it. And a lot of bowl skating is about that. It's just like keeping your line, keeping your momentum. It's not so much trick selection. Now, tricks have a big factor to do with it, but like you're seeing, I'm just trying to like scratch grind, basic 50-50s, and I do have more trick tip tutorials. I'll leave a little playlist up above. It's like how to skate transition, a bunch of different tricks, but this is more of a general how to keep your speed and how to skate bowls, because bowl skating is really fun, and I highly suggest it for anybody that enjoys riding on a skateboard. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the double pump. Common theme that I see also is like a lot of skaters will try to just pump the wall for really long and go back down. The thing that I've done or learned over time is you can almost like ride a flat wall like this one behind me like a wave, or any wall really. You can pump it, go down, and try to carve back up and pump back down. That is actually a really good hack for keeping speed on a long wall like this. If you need to, you could just try to draw it out, but a lot of times that's actually going to take more of your speed, where if you're kind of zigzagging on the wall, sort of pumping up and down is going to allow you to drag that wall out and extend your line while keeping your speed. And the double pump doesn't work as good on a flat wall. It works really good through a corner, so you can kind of like pump high, then go low through a corner, then pump back up on the wall. This is all just tips for keeping your speed in a bowl, because I think a lot of bowl skating does have to do with your speed and your line, and then you get into the tricks, which should come later. Ultimately, if you can keep your speed and figure out that momentum, how to carve, how to fluidly roll around the bowl, you're gonna get a lot better at bowl skating in the long run. If you guys can see the chalk behind me, but there's basically little lines and there's like brackets. So there's like a line, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's little brackets going up the transition. The idea with that is like creating a marker, making a goal. There's one right here, and then there's one over here, and then there's a line in between. And I think the idea with that is you can kind of set it up like maybe you want to hit 2 and then 5 on this wall. So that's a cool idea, a good way to like get used to bowl skating, setting up some markers, kind of allow yourself to know where you are. So if you have a buddy, you want to learn how to skate bowls, this could be a really fun way, just basically marking off. It looks like it's like every foot they did a line and then they put a number in there to know where they're at. And the idea is like, I think they want to see how long they can hug the wall and stay on the wall. That's a really cool idea, really fun way to make like skateboarding gamification to getting better, progressing. Having some fundamentals like dropping in and rolling in for bowl skating is definitely going to be to your advantage when keeping speed, but that's not necessarily needed. It's not a make or break. You can start from flat and sort of start pushing into the walls if dropping in or rolling in is something that you're just not comfortable enough with yet. Something else that's going to help with your bowl skating or learning how to skate bowls is your board setup. Having a really wide board with big wheels is going to work to your advantage. You're going to be able to keep more speed and you'll be more stable, less foot moving around the board. That's always scary. Like when you're first learning how to skate bowls, your foot seems to like move a lot. That's what I noticed. So yeah, having a wider board and bigger wheels will stabilize you. I made a whole video on the best complete skateboard setup for transition. I'll leave a link up above if you're interested in that. The difference between a kick turn and a carve is just the wheel contact. So your wheels are constantly on contact with the ground. With the kick turn, you're kind of stepping on the back tail a little bit, lifting up those front wheels and churning around. So with a carve, you're gonna keep a lot more speed. So something I suggest with these hips is you almost do, not really a kick turn, it's almost like a launch from the very bottom up to the top. So you can kind of get speed by like launching up and into the wall and then out of it. So that's a little tip. Hips are a good way to keep your speed. But yeah, that is something I didn't really think about till just now when I was talking, is keeping all wheels on the ground with bowl skating is huge. I was almost like a challenge with myself. I would like, you know, I would like have a game with myself or a contest with myself. Is like, I want to get around that corner without lifting my wheels up. So that is something you could challenge yourself with in order to progress in skating bowls, is like getting around a certain corner without lifting your wheels up. And really what that comes down to is like, you have to draw it out. It's normally a longer carve. You want to start earlier, you're going to end earlier, probably not going to go up quite as high. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video on some of my tips on how to skate bowl. Let me know down below if you like these types of videos. I will do more if you think they're helpful. Little tips here and there, something specific. These are all just things I was thinking about. Sometimes I have to remind myself, even though I've been skating for a long time, these fundamentals are very crucial, even for learning a new trick. So make sure you smash that subscribe button if you're not already. Smash that like button, beat it up 5,000 times. I really appreciate all of you. See you in the next one. MASH.